It's preparing.
Okay.
And then I know I have to, once it goes live, then I have to close that window out.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty, hello. We are live here on YouTube. So welcome. We won't wait till people join us. You're like, oh,
Because we don't have friends.
let's just wait till everybody joins us but actually we usually have one or two that join us so far. But we're excited to do this because this is like what is it? Breaking pattern. Stepping out of our comfort zone. It's actually getting more and more comfortable because we've done about 6 lives now, Caitlin. So
Have
anyway,
we?
something like that, but really fun because it's actually, yeah, it's because we're spur of the moment and we're like, okay, what are we going to talk about today? So anyways, welcome to two menopausal women in the apocalypse, brain fogging and hot flashing our way through these amazing deep conversations. Today we will be talking about astrology. Is astrology a psyop? Let's talk about it. I'm Jemaa. I'm the Akashic Records librarian. I'm able to tap into energy, all that is space, and I'm also an herbalist. And Caitlin, you're an amazing being, super talented and knowledgeable, and just beautiful. So tell us about you.
Yeah, well, I am a shamanic astrologer, and I work with the energies of vibration through some of the tools from biogeometry to help clear disturbances in the body and the home, and basically, yeah, raise the vibration on disturbances. And I am also a deep seeker, just like really wanting to understand the reality we're living in. And I've gone on many deep dive through the rabbit holes of history, and the history of astrology is one of those that I have done a lot of work with, astrotheology. And because astrology is one of the four noble sciences long ago, I feel like we came from a high technology and we're kind of in a lower technology now, even though we're getting a whole other message from the technocrats. Um, Also, we were going to talk a little bit about our title, why we call ourselves, you know,
Two menopausal
the,
women
what do we
in the
call
apocalypse.
it? The apocalypse. The apocalypse, currently you look up apocalypse, it relates to the Bible. But
Mm.
before that, in etymology, it is really a veil, a lifting of the veil, right? Do you have something to say about that, Jemay?
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
when I looked it up a long time ago, that's why I always loved the word apocalypse because I looked it up a long time ago before the new definition popped up. But yeah, lifting the veil or just like a burning away of the old and kind of like the rise of the phoenix. It's just this the new stepping into something really new and amazing. That's how I've always known it to be.
Mhm.
Um,
So, and it's also kind of a pun, a little bit of humor because we have to keep things light and everything gets so serious. And when you're so in it, you can't see above and look down and go, oh, this is a cycle, this is a pattern, this is so, we're both Virgo risings. We understand patterning, sacred patterning. And the big talent with Virgos is recognizing patterning and being able to actually change the pattern through healing modalities. So it's really important in this time to recognize that we're being flooded with information, and things get parroted, things get said on, say, the news, which is also a corporate entity, and it used to have more variety in the news, and now it's run by a couple of families probably that have been in control of it for a long time, And it's really the pattern is that the information will get people to go into one side or another that will be split, because also we live in a dualistic reality. We live in a polarity. So there's always evil with good. There's always, it's never going to be all one thing. And I'm not like a fatalist or anything. I just recognize the pattern. And really, the key is to understand these cycles. And astrology is one of those tools. It is like, it's a day system, it's a night, it's a monthly system, it's a yearly system. It's a pattern of cycles and energies, and those are connected to elements. So when you start tuning in to that, like what we're like right now, we're in the Libra full moon portal. The moon is just gone into Libra. It's going to be there from 2 to 3 days. That's the pattern of the moon. It moves through, it moves through the signs 2 to 3 days in each sign. Actually, it's 13.22 is the average. So there's also this incredible sacred number that goes along with astrology too. The 12 houses, the 12 signs, the 4 seasons, there's all these like amazing numerology. And then, of course, that connects to gematria, and the meaning of each letter, has a number, and these numbers add up to make uh, little like statements about what events are about. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, do you have
Yeah,
anything?
beautiful. Yeah, yeah, no, I like I guess it would be the same view. It's just with the good and evil and that it's always there, which I guess can be true. But you know me, I'm more on like the timelines, the frequencies, what we're
Aquarius.
aligning with. And so I more um just slightly different thinking of I think there can be a reality where there isn't the dual. So I don't know where you are on that, but I mean we've talked about this. So I feel like we can focus our consciousness into a different timeline where there isn't the dual, where there isn't the darkness that's so out of balance. So that's my just little take on how I
Very
feel
Aquarian
about
of
that.
you, I must say.
Very Aquarian of me, I know. um,
Well, and
all
I
into the
I think
vibrations
that,
and
yeah, I think
consciousness
I
and
agree.
mhm.
But it's also what you're focused on. So what I'm saying is that there is always the light and dark. It is just a part. Originally, it wasn't seen as evil. And evil is live backwards. So it's just the opposite of light. So that's the duality. It's the opposite of light. The dark was considered the feminine, the light was the masculine, and in the light is all the colors. So, but some people say it different. They say in the black is all the colors.
Mhm.
So, there's just a dualistic nature. It could be good or bad,
Right.
or just light and dark. And it doesn't have to have these negative associations. So, yeah, but
I do agree.
my thing is like, we're not here to change this reality necessarily. It is a thing that is supposed to help us heal ourselves so we can rise above whatever is going on, because it seems, and according to my 55 years here and many lifetimes,
Mhm.
hundreds of lifetimes, I mean, I cannot like, but that it just goes on and on. There's just like an outer reality that's just constantly uh going through these cycles, and we don't have to be pulled around by them. We can stay strong in our center by knowing ourselves first. And this is how astrology can be used, is to know yourself, understand your energies, because your personal chart is all about potential.
Mm.
There is potential for the lower aspects or the higher aspects. For me, my experience was like, once I learned about my chart, I was like, oh, no wonder I've had such like a difficult time. I have got like, and I've been in the lower aspects of my rising of Virgo a lot. And also the Libra not being able to set boundaries and wanting to be liked by everybody, and like just, not doing relationships very well because I don't understand relationships, So, and boundaries. Like, what is a boundary in the moment? It's like all these things that you can explore with your chart and like just get to know over time. It's a huge learning curve because you have to learn what the energies of the signs are, what the planets are doing. There's a lot of things and it's like, so it's like a language. You learn what the language of Jupiter is, and the language of Mars, and the language of Venus. And then there's like a million ways to do your chart. You've got all kinds of modalities to do them. And it's a deep science, and it really, I don't know, through its history, it got kind of like trashed over and over, kind of like homeopathy. It was like super huge. And like, even medical doctors were trained in homeopathy in the early 1900s before things shifted over, you know, and then it's like a slow, steady, haha, what is that? Sort of like that's pseudoscience or whatever. So it's a kind of a slow, steady, just trashing of an actual thing that actually can bring you a lot of peace and to help you elevate here. So, and now we live in this, information age where we're being flooded with information. So it's like one person parrots what is said by somebody else, and then it changes and it goes through its cycles. And then, for me, I was obsessed for many years, just like listening to people, astrologers talk about the energies. What's it going to be like tomorrow? Oh my God, this is coming. And part of it was like, I didn't trust in this reality. I didn't trust being here. So I was always like hoping it would just like explode on itself, and everything would end, or I was just like, is everything going to be okay? Like, is this really going to be okay? Like learning to really trust in the cycles. But I didn't understand a lot about history then. I understood the outer realities like standard history, but now we have so much in this information age, so much more history and anomalies in history, that things that have been left out. And so, yeah, so it's like I really had to, like, now I don't listen to anybody. And I love it, actually, because I recognize there's times where it's like, first of all, I was listening to a lot of astrologers that were very dramatic. So it's like, how are they running their lives? You know, and it's just like, oh my God, this is gonna happen. And then if you don't do this at this time, and it was kind of creating like weird like fear, or like, you know, get my workshops on this new moon. If you don't do it now, it's not going to happen. And it's like, no, that's that's bullshit. I mean, I'm sorry.
It's totally.
And then they say it, and then they say it every time. And then you're like, wait, they're always saying this so it's very generalized, and
Yeah.
we're all very unique. We have very complex charts, and our chart has a geometry to it, all the play of the different planets. So it is geometry
Mhm.
also.
Yeah.
It is angles, angles of light.
Mhm.
So I've really simplified, and I focus on the moons, focus on the moon cycles. Actually I track the sun and the moon every day. So the
Mhm.
sun takes about, 28, 30 days in a sign. And then the moon is 13.22 days in a sign. So
Mhm.
I follow those energies because it actually brings me a lot of grounding and a lot of peace, just to know that sun and moon are doing the exact thing that they were projected to do. Uh, and this information actually comes from these old books, like the Book of Enoch, like the Law of the Luminaries. Like, they are old science. and it was like gifted to us so we could, we have to translate it, of course, because our modern language has, so disconnected from the way people would write back then.
Mm.
Who wrote it? I don't know.
Mm.
But there's so many ways to use those books. It's amazing. It's a real story. It's an astrological, cosmological story. I mean, how can it be both? It can. It's magic. I mean, and words are magic. Words are so powerful,
Mhm.
So um
Wow. Well,
so, astrology, we have to recognize how things are being used and how it's seeding our energy field.
mm,
If you're listening to an astrologer, they're like, oh, if you're a Virgo, you better be careful because da, 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 and then you're like, oh, spending your day not in the most optimal way,
mhm,
and we have to take charge and be in tune with our intuitive,
definitely,
so we can navigate.
totally.
So, do we have anyone on,
Yeah, we
Jemay?
got one person on. Yay, thanks for
Oh,
watching.
thank
You're
you.
here with
Thanks for
us.
watching.
Yeah, soup. Oh, you're drinking some of your nettle tea. I love it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I just harvested some
roasted.
nettles.
Oh,
I made a very strong tea.
nice.
Yeah,
Nettles
I
are so
know.
those are one of my favorite herbs, nettles. I connect with nettles, even though I wouldn't be able to recognize them. I'm just kidding. No, I would. I grew up in the mountains, but other herbs like we were just talking about earlier. But anyways, I'm getting off track. So yeah, that's all amazing, Caitlin. So we are um, that's why I love like it's the old we really are creating our reality. That was a big sentence.
Yes, this
We
is what
really
it gets
are.
down to. It's
This is
like
what it gets
we
down
are.
to with the
What are
really
Yeah,
observing, yeah, what's in this construct and what we're working with. And astrology is a huge part of it. Um, and yeah, and it's so important what we're allowing into our energy field, allowing into our consciousness and not letting, and that's our cue and clue for is like how is our body reacting. So like those people that would be like the doom and gloom, it's like how is your body, that's your higher self talking to you through your body. And if you're having like this reaction of fear or tense, then it's like stop listening, uh period. Don't let that energy, don't let those people's like belief systems enter into yours and create um just that dual or that just lower vibrational reality where there is that dual that we talked about earlier. So
yeah,
it's easy to get pulled into everybody else's movie and their belief systems and their, how are they operating? That's like really important to understand your own container, your own belief systems, your own timeline, your own movie. Um, and who are you going to allow onto your stage? It's so and that's a part of this menopause. That's why we call it two menopausal women, because we're like, I feel in this place of all these years of figuring that out. I mean, and it wasn't a mistake of listening to all those people you were listening to. You were actually learning. You were actually, because I just know, like I can see your energy. You're like, okay, I'm learning through what to do and what not to do, listening to their um spiels, about astrology or energy or whatever you're listening to. It was all part of getting to right here in this stage of our life, which is like, yeah, I didn't need, yeah, now I don't need to listen to them and only
yeah,
listen to myself. That's part of the moving closer and closer to the crone stage. It's like this
yeah,
thing happens
yeah,
within. I can feel this transformation happening. That's why it's funny in the apocalypse, because there's this transformation that's happening. There is a veil lifting in this stage of life.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
beautiful.
it's true. Yeah, the wisdom starts to come in, and it's
Yeah,
like sometimes you only can feel the wisdom and know the wisdom through time, you know? It's like, okay, 55 years. I think, I could look at the cycles
Mhm.
of, I can look at the cycles of world changing events,
Mm.
and go, and you can look at them through the lens of astrology too, because also the outer reality, those who run this outer reality that is not us necessarily, they use astrology. They use it for the momentum as we should be using it. So, like, we just came from winter, we're going into spring. The shift in energy is like palpable because everything has been in the underworld for, you know, 6 months and is or however long it is, 6 months maybe. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyways, that just dark, the light isn't as strong, and so the angles of light aren't really giving us all the things we need through the winter time necessarily. I try to get as much light as possible, but it's definitely different. And then as soon as it shifts into Aries season, it's like boom, go. It's March, literally March. So they usually wars begin,
Mm.
and then the, Flovid happened, also in March.
Mm.
World governments suddenly got along. They were all in one lockstep, So it's very like using the energy of the cycles is, it's beneficial because you have the momentum, you have the angles of light,
Mm. Interesting. Yeah.
you know? So, and that's why that full moon we just had was a worm moon.
Yeah.
Remember? Because everything underneath is brewing. It's not growing yet. It's just like it's underneath. It's all behind the scenes. Then as soon as that light comes, it's like burst, and the plants start growing like crazy.
Well, it's interesting
So,
because you're right. So even throughout history, things are lined up with the astrology, which I find fascinating. So it's like you can go in and go, oh well,
yeah.
you can look at the wars that you just mentioned, like you can go in and look at the astrology of what dates those wars, and most likely it lines up with uh probably Aries and Mars, or I don't know astrology, but there's usually
Well, Aries is ruled by Mars. So that's the other thing. That's the
okay.
planet of war,
Yeah.
right? Aries is the one-pointed focus, the warrior,
Mm.
the Joan of Arcs, there's that energy already of fire, and it's an electric fire.
Mhm.
So, yes, and I can tell you the Iraq War was 2003, Syrian War 2011, Revolution in Russia 1917, Battle of Iwo Jima 1945, Normandy invasion 1945, all in March. So
Wow.
it's big. Yeah.
Isn't that?
So
Yeah, so the
we
question
have to recognize they use it. They use the energies. Eclipses,
that's what I was gonna
eclipses are a natural thing. It
yeah.
comes around, moon and the sun come together. There's like an electricity and a magnetism that's happening. And they come together every new moon, but there's a certain way things line up that it just like creates an eclipse. It's like something happens, and that's also in the full moon, or it depends, solar or lunar. So these things are literally, you can project them out into the future thousands of years if you want. It's math. So, every eclipse season comes around and people are like, oh my God, it's eclipse season. Oh my God. And it's just like, it's natural. And these are portals. These are times to utilize the energy. Okay, so now we're in Libra. Keep it simple too. It's like you don't have to get super complex with all this outer planet stuff. I mean, it's important, but in general, if you want to just start focusing, new moon, full moon. Okay, we're in a full moon in Libra. Libra is about co-creation. Libras are about relationships. The cosmic joke for Libra is that it's one of the hardest things for you to do. So you know, but that's what you want, right? So in working with a full moon in Libra, like I'm gonna have a moon circle on the full moon, and we're gonna focus on relationships. We're gonna focus on the relationships we want to have. Well, first we're going to clear things out, the old relationships. We're doing some cord cutting. I got a sword, you know, we're going to do some of that and release. So we make space for new relationships and how we really want to co-create.
Mhm.
Libras want to co-create. They don't like hierarchies. They don't want to be ruled over.
Mhm.
They want a balance, right? They want the balance.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
that's like a
it is. And what's
that's
the
really
scale of
just what
balance,
you focus on.
right? And if it's in
Yeah. So you focus on it, you utilize it, you know, you utilize that energy. This is a portal. This is a time. So for me, there's also a whole other aspect with these old books that you utilize when, and it's different people say different things based on interpretation. What
Mhm.
resonates with me is when the moon goes into my sun sign, which is what some of these books have been interpreted to say. So the moon is now in my sun sign for the next 3 days. I'm going to focus on what they call raising the Christos oil. So this is the resurrection of Christ. This is the resurrection of Christ is the sun. The Christ is the sun. So there's also this thing that happens in our bodies because we reflect the outer world with the planets and the chakras. And, you know, Jesus is the sun, Mary is the moon, you know, there's a whole thing with the disciples and all that, you know. So, and there's a time where you can actually really balance your system out if you know, eat really healthy, don't drink, don't, you know, just kind of take a few days well, the moon is in your sun sign and really restore yourself. Now, I haven't experienced like actually pulling up this oil into my pineal, but I focus, I do more meditations, I just get more conscious about that possibility. So, and I've only really, this is like the second month I've focused on it, but I really do. So I'm preparing and I'm gonna, you know, do some things, some cleansing, and yeah, just like really give that my body this opportunity to get the light of the sun and the moon to transform and balance my system because we respond to the light as you know we are like the soil of the earth, so we respond to that angle of light. And then even when you have the sun and the moon out at the same time, which you're going to have tonight, it's rising, I think it's 7, around 7. So the sun will be setting. So you'll have those moments. And that happens at some point. It's usually not on the full moon because the moon rises like almost an hour later every day.
Mhm.
So by the time it's full moon, it's going to be rising, you know, at like 9 o'clock.
Mhm.
So today I'm going to go out and witness that. And the other thing is that you could actually work with the sun at noon, high noon. To that is when the sunlight is closest to you in the
Mhm.
northern hemisphere. Of course, I'm talking about. So when it's close to you, it's up high. When it's far away, it's on the horizon. So when it's close to you, some say that it's the most beneficial light from, you know, 11 to 2. But now we're in daylight stupid savings, which is dumb, and they never change it. And it probably will never change.
Right.
Literally. I just
Nobody
saw like
wants
some
it.
little,
Nobody.
nobody wants it. Who wants it?
It's
Or they like one aspect of it, not the other. Well, just stop messing with the time, okay? We both lived in Hawaii. We know how it is without the time change. It's
the
a flow. It's like,
Hawaiian
you know, we
time.
don't have to deal it. Most people off. You know, I see people getting depressed and all kinds of things when they do it in the winter or whatever. It's just like, you know, stop messing with people. But this is the thing. They're
Yeah.
always messing with our timelines. They're always messing. So this is why we can't nail down things in history
Right.
because it's always like, okay, we're just changing the time now because we feel like it. And that's part of the outer reality that's just always going to be
Fucking with
confusing
us.
us, trying to confuse us.
Language.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so over that. But so now it's high noon, high 1 o'clock is high noon. So you
Okay.
can actually go out and look and see where the sun is in the sky. And if it's way up high, you have to crick your neck. Then you know it's summertime. Of course, you know it's summertime because it's hot. But that's a Cancer or Leo full moon is way up high. Now we're looking at a Libra full moon, so it's not going to be as high. It's going to be like mid sky,
Mm,
not super high, but it's moving up. So you could actually imagine the astrological wheel in the sky when you look at it, the circle of all the planets, and see, of course, we have the top is Cancer and Leo. So it's flipped.
mm,
And then Capricorn is low. So, anyways, there's ways to just tune in to align yourself with
mm.
the energies and keep in the flow of the energies.
Yeah. I need
Um,
someone to really have me just because I can only do the basics, like you said, like just stick with the basics, even years of like getting my charts read, having astrology friends, working with an astrologist, my friend Laura Eisenhower, who we do joint readings together. And like you, yeah,
and
you
tell her what happens when you do joint readings together. Tell
Yeah, that's
them.
amazing because she does the astrology and then I read the energy. And so
And
so
it's often the same,
what's that?
right?
It's
It's
what?
often the same. The
It's the
same.
I'm reading this energy and feeling the energy, and then it correlates with the astrology. And so, that's why I've been paying more attention to it. I don't think I'll ever actually understand the language of astrology, but definitely the basics, because I'm more in the energy realms of reading the energy. But you also were the one to say, "Oh, you're feeling that way because it's a new moon in, you know, Virgo." Or something, or it's a full moon. Yeah, of course you're feeling that because it's a full moon in Capricorn. I'm just, yeah, giving examples, but I'll be like, oh, I was feeling this. But now I'm kind of more in tune and being more conscious of that so I can create more of my reality. It's actually very helpful. So thank you. Caitlin,
Yeah, you're
my
welcome.
friend
And
Laura. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like you don't have to get too elaborate about it, it's really tuning into the moons and the energies, and then you can go, "Oh, I feel like this when the full
Mhm.
moon is in Virgo for me. I always have, like, this kind of
Yeah.
problem. Too much mental energy because I got Mercury there and a bunch of stuff going on in Virgo."
Mhm.
But, there's just you could start to tune into the patterns and how it affects you. And sometimes I look at astrology and go, "What's going on?" Because I feel weird and I don't have any reason to feel weird. And I'll see, oh, Mars is doing some shit in my, opposite my rising or something. So I can use it to validate when I'm feeling weird and I don't have any reason to feel weird because it does affect us regardless. So but it's like how we interpret it is the thing. And this gets into like if you're getting astrology readings, just kind of vet your astrologer a little bit, like what's your focus, like, and if you don't like what they're saying, I mean, some astrologers can be really biased towards Scorpios, and because there's this whole, you know this just understanding, a negative understanding, and
Well,
that comes from the whole horoscope thing for years and years. That was, and Scorpios are secretive. Da, da, da. Scorpios are shamans. Scorpios work with energy.
mm,
Scorpios understand life force energy. Or if hopefully they get to that place, and
yeah.
they're shadow magnets, so they trigger people. So just recognize if you're getting triggered, if you're triggering people for no reason,
Mm,
that's part of the healing dynamics of Scorpio.
mhm.
So,
Yeah.
what were you
Yeah.
gonna say?
Well, I no, because that's yeah, it's a lot of astrologists in the like just in the old energy, as I call it, like just they did bring the negative aspects because that's how they were reading people's charts, right? So it's like, oh, you're this, you're that. So it was just this like doom and gloom. But really, those are, like you just said, shadow aspects to work on. So it's actually a positive thing. And so when you understand that it's our blueprint, when it's actually everything is in our chart to create the most best reality. It's amazing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
These are like
It is amazing.
major clues in our charts of like, oh, there's that energy.
Major.
How do I work with
Yeah.
that? It's not a doom and gloom of like, oh, now I'm just gonna be toast. No, it's like, oh, okay, that energy is coming in. So how do I transmute it, work with it, learn from it, and release it? And as quickly as possible is good.
Right. I mean, you remember when I did your astrocartography and looked and found the Pluto line that you're living on? It's like you returned to your home where you grew up, and like, oh my God, no wonder.
Rough.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not going to feel so good, but also you utilize it and do the good work, and then you will transmute that.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're doomed, you know,
Oh, and I
but there
see that
are lines on the map. Our lines translate to the map, but we really can understand, like, why don't I feel good here? I'm in Hawaii and I don't feel good. I had a client, she was, just didn't feel good in Hawaii. I'm like, girl, you're on a Saturn line, so even though it's paradise, you still don't feel good because it relates to the family. Are you dealing with family issues, and how are you, you know, showing up every day
and
over
that's the
there?
work, right? So if we are in
That's the
those,
work. That's the work.
it's the work.
Yeah.
That's actually, yeah, the gift of going even deeper into the self, because that's why we're all here. It's just it's all the self. It's all self.
I
Yeah.
When I do readings of people, I always tell them, like, I'm like, this is like a dentist reading an X-ray, because I also want people to know that dental stuff is really weird, and like one dentist will say you need this, the other one will be like, no, you need that. It's not, everything's fine, So it's like it's like a dental X-ray. I'm reading the map, and this is my interpretation. I'm really clear about that because I don't want people to be like, oh, she said this and she said that. I'm not the source. You're the source,
Mhm.
and I just want people to understand the energies and like how,
Mhm.
where the imbalances are and how you can balance them. I have a huge chart, from the sync can't say it right now, synchronistic society. They have mapped every degree of the zodiac has a potential for a disease
Oh,
and sickness or alcoholism or depression or
man.
suicide. I know, and it sounds depressing, but I utilize that, and I didn't want to get it for a long time because I don't want to associate with that. But I
Yeah.
utilize it to go, okay, health wise, because I use the chart to understand the energies you're running, and then how to work with the biogeometry ruler to balance things.
Mhm.
So I can look at that chart and see the degrees and go what the potentials are. Then I can focus on, okay, let's support your kidneys. Let's support, because like Libra rules the kidneys. So, and you have more acid when you have a lot of Libra. So it can be a lot of kidney stuff and bladder stuff. And so, doing things to balance that effect. So I'm not going, oh, well, you're going to have renal failure, in about 5 years. I'm not using it that way.
That's what some
So I'm using
astrologists
it.
do.
What?
And
I
that's
know.
what some
It's so cool.
astrologists do. Yeah. It's,
Yeah,
yeah, not cool.
actually astrologers, but yeah,
Yeah.
astrologists.
So if you ever find yourself in a negative situation with, and it's making you feel, not good, depleted, I would I would advise not to get a reading from them, or if it's too late, just, stop them because you don't want to bring that negative energy in. Get a reading from
Yeah,
positive.
so check out their slant. Like, what's their slant? What's their thing? Because usually, if they're doing general readings on, social media, you can kind of see their vibe, you know,
Mhm.
how they focus on the energies and how grounded they feel. So, yeah, just be aware that it's all interpretation too. So, and then it's all about potentials. And really, what you want is to know thyself,
Mhm.
these deep ways, because once you know yourself, you can't really be fooled by others. Once you recognize the patterns
Mhm.
and your potential, you You don't need the outside
Yeah.
for validation or for information.
Yes.
So yeah,
That yeah, and that reminds so these readings that you get from people, aren't yeah, aren't outside of ourselves. They are tools so you can understand yourself better. So if we're all doing our, teacher-student reality with each other and being here to help each other because we can't do it all. So that's why I seek a really good astrologist that can help me remember something to align with or Akashic Records person or an herbalist, whatever it is to these tools that we have. And right now we're talking about our astrology charts and but it's ultimately to help you gain more knowledge of yourself. Right?
yeah,
That
yeah.
you just said, but
More knowledge of
like,
self.
yeah, more
And yeah,
yeah, finding someone that you're resonating with, that you feel uplifted by, that you feel like, "Oh, I do remember, I do feel empowered." And I know that's what you do, Caitlin. So when it because I've gotten readings from
yeah,
you
definitely.
and energy
Yeah,
clearing healings. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because, we all we all need it. Even those who are doing this work, we need that outside reflection.
Mhm.
But it's good to be discerning because, you know, it's definitely some stuff that can be like, what?
And it can be
uh,
damaging for a long time. Like I,
I know.
damage done
Oh
by
God.
readers from a long time ago that have told me something and then I like hold on to it, and think
Yeah,
and then kind of go, oh, and then but so I've had to clear stuff like that, but it's can be
totally.
devastating until it's cleared out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yes.
Mhm.
So that's, kind of what I was
Yeah, I love it. The
thinking.
astrology, that's why said, is astrology a psyop? But we kind of touched on that because it is used by the other forces, what did the outside construct, and we're on
Outer reality.
outer reality. We're on this inner reality,
Outer,
but there's outer reality that's trying to influence our inner reality.
yeah.
And they use astrology to do that, just like the wars.
Well,
All
and they
yeah.
see it's popular, so then it becomes, it's on the news about the eclipses. It's on they're starting to get into how do we control and move masses of people into certain ways.
Mhm.
So they use full moons for stuff like that too. The energies of full moons, the energies, not so much, I don't know of new moons, but full moons because they have such an effect. There is a thing called lunacy. It is real. The moon is an influence. They are seen as like music, music notes. The sun and the moon, they have like a bass treble clef. They have like two parts and they work together. So
Mhm.
they are like, as you get this messaging leading up to a full moon, and everybody's saying kind of the same things, it creates kind of this anxiety, this tension, you know, and then people are influenced. If you're not grounded in your energy, you get taken over. So bringing that understanding into consciousness and working with that cycle, like, okay, I also think it's good to, when you plan things too, you don't want to, like, if you're planning a party, I wouldn't do it on a new moon. I wouldn't do it on a full moon either. I
Mhm.
would do it somewhere when the moon's building,
Mhm.
where it's like there's energy, but I wouldn't do it on a new moon. I've seen parties go so flat because they went to do it on a new moon. I was like, well, there's not much energy in the new moon. So
It's all about just
you
being
have to think about, yeah, like what you choose to do when. So, and you want the energy behind you, like the plants. You
yeah,
plant when the moon
yeah,
is growing, right? You
yeah,
don't plant when the moon it's waxing.
yeah.
It's waning, not when it's waning, when it's waxing. So when it's building energy, that's where you get the best plants.
Mhm.
because it's a frequency. So
Yeah, the
it's a
Hawaiian,
frequency.
I used to have the Hawaiian moon calendar, when to plant, when to take a day of rest, when to do your starts, when to weed even. So they were on a full moon cycle.
They are on a full
Are
moon.
on it.
It's
Yeah, they
very
still.
big. The moon calendar in the Hawaiian culture is it's definitely making a comeback.
Oh,
I
good.
have several sites that I follow on Instagram,
Oh, you'll have
and they
to
have
share
the
because
names of
I
all the
I had it a
moons.
long
I
time.
will.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's
I was like,
lots of them. Yeah.
I wanna start following the Hawaiian moon, when I start planting my, garden and
Yeah,
whatever.
that's the Farmer's Almanac as well, that is something that is,
And
it's a
all
thing.
the phases are important. So that's what I wanted. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
reminded me of that because we talk about the full moon and new moon. But I realized because I have this moonology deck, and but there's
You
so
want to pull a card?
yeah, I can pull a card. But there's so many moon phases. So that's good. So they all amac there. But like you said, there's waxing, there's weaning, no, waning. When you said waning, it
So
reminded
listen,
me of weaning.
it
Yeah.
begins
Yeah.
it begins with the first crescent. When you get the first crescent of light after the dark moon phase, because there's a dark moon phase where the moon and the sun are together. Then the moon surpasses the sun and you'll get the first crescent. It's 14 days and then you'll have full moon.
Mm.
No, yeah. 7 days is a half moon, 14 days is the full moon, and then it wanes. So it is also these magical numbers. So
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
a 28 to 30-day cycle, but it's like, so this is why Sunday is actually the true Easter, because it's 14 days from the first crescent. So, our moon calendars say, or our calendars say, new moon is the dark moon. And some say it actually is, the new moon is actually when you see the first crescent, when you see the first light.
Mm,
Because also you think about the energy. There's no energy in the new moon
mm,
if it's dark.
mm,
There's not that combination of sun moon energy, right? It's just like a dark phase. So, you know,
cool.
there's different ways of interpretation, but it definitely has a pattern. And once you just clue into it and
Yeah.
start following it, you'd be like, oh yeah, now we're at half moon, it's building. And also it rises hour later, it's moving through different signs. That's why you see it there, and then it's there, and then it's there. It's moving through different signs. So
Hmm.
it's going to be a different place in the sky. And then when you get sun and moon at its kind of highest point, you'll see the sun is higher than the moon because the moon is in a higher placement. It's say the moon's in Leo and the sun's in Aries, it's going to be actually like this.
Okay.
So it's going to be up like this. Yeah. So you're going to see the height difference and then you can go, oh yeah, according to the sky wheel, I can see how the moon is, in Leo
That's
and the
and where
sun's in Aries.
so like just a generic, you said it's the Almanac? What, to just so
Farmer's Almanac.
oh, yeah, that one's okay. And that shows all the moon farmer's almanac.
Yes.
Okay.
Almanac.
Ah, I'll find that though, and I'll put it in in the description though, guys. So I'll do all
Yeah,
of that.
there's even an Instagram for the Farmer's Almanac too. They're on it. They're on Instagram and stuff.
I picked a card.
What? What?
You're gonna love that. I was like,
You
oh,
did it.
I can't even believe I was shuffling. Like, guys, this is not
Yeah.
even like, and then a new moon in Libra, a new romantic cycle begins. But like, literally,
Uh,
look at that.
yeah, we were just talking. Yeah,
Literally, we're
we
just
were just
talking
talking
about this. This is amazing. Like, okay, I love
about it.
it. That's synchronistic. That's the magic that happens. And
Well, and we live in a synchronistic reality. Once you tune in,
mm,
right? It's like then you really start to see, oh, the numbers, oh, the birds, oh, everything is conspiring to support us and reflecting what
mm,
we're thinking and what we desire, and it's reflective. So when you start getting in the flow state, you get the synchronistic
Mhm.
messages
And when we're
and
staying,
you're open
yeah,
to
no, and
seeing
I
them.
totally, and I'm seeing, like, the more that I'm really conscious of that and stay really neutral, like, I cannot react to things that are coming in, and it's, we all have it, so it's like, it's really I stay really disciplined with
More
stay
than others.
what's that?
Some of us have it more than others.
It's, 'cause I had to yeah, so it's like, I knew what my deep things I needed to work on, but so staying in that neutral place, the more that I do that and the more that I go, "Oh, no big deal," you know, like, like something happened that, could have spun me into a huge well, actually, there's so many things going on that c but the old me would have spun me into like, "Oh my god," but I'm like, "Oh, whatever, who cares? It's just part of" and I'm finding that it's just easier to move through,
Yeah,
what's happening. For
yeah,
example, my son getting a ticket, you know, and so
yeah.
having to deal with this really expensive ticket, but I'm like, "No big deal, we'll get it." It's just it's all gonna work out, and we have a whole thing that we're gonna do to try to get it, cheaper and, so
Yeah.
but I'm not the old me would have been like, "Oh my god, it has to do with courts and the system and,
Yeah,
whole"
totally.
I'm like, "Oh
I
my"
know. So
and now
yeah, so it's
yeah, and I ended up talking to a really cool lady when I called the courthouse, and then she gave me some tips and it was just like, "Oh, this is gonna be easier than" I mean, I yeah, so anyways, the more that I'm like, "Oh, no
well,
big"
and that's the thing. Like we, if we don't have a hold of our energy to begin with, we automatically just go to the worst case scenario and things. Because I remember when it happened, because he doesn't have his license yet, so that's why it's a big deal.
Yeah, that's why this is a
Um,
big deal, people, because he
yeah.
doesn't have a license yet. But he's a really good driver, and he's
And you just
here
went to the, "Oh my god, we're gonna have to go to court,
that's
get
like
a lawyer," and it's like,
yeah,
"Girl,
I
like,
went
let's
there
just
for the
take it and
first
see what happens."
that's right. Yeah, so the first day I was like and then, like, yeah, then I went into, "Okay, nope, I can't go into that," but I caught you helped me catch it fast.
But it's natural. It's natural to go to the worst case scenario first or to go to the darkest scenario first. And it's like, why is it? If we looked at things that were happening, like losing jobs, having to move, it's like if we looked at them from the moment it happened as an opportunity,
Yeah,
it changes everything. So
yeah,
it's like we have to be aware of what we're thinking and how we're projecting,
yeah.
um,
Well, and
every moment.
that's why I'm
That becomes the meditation, that becomes a life meditation,
oh,
where you're constantly like, "Oh, why am I thinking that?"
mhm.
So, yeah,
No, and he's a really
yes,
good driver, guys, by the way. He wasn't
yeah,
yeah, he got caught in, like,
totally.
one of those traps. So, regardless, he shouldn't have been
Traps.
driving without his license, but
I
he's
know.
it's just he's been a little behind on, getting that, so it's so different
Yeah,
nowadays, like,
I
like,
know.
requirement back when I was in high school for driver's eds, it was just all really easy, got my everything was free, now it's like $1,000,000 to get you gotta go to driving school, gotta do this, there's all these, like, weird rules, and then once the in my state, the kids get their license, they can't drive with kids for a whole year. So, anyways,
Gee,
it's just so different
yeah.
nowadays.
Yes, nowadays, for sure.
My day.
For sure.
Licenses, no,
Yeah.
I'm not that old.
Oh, I wanted to say one more thing.
Yeah,
When it comes to relationships and astrology and like really like what's the good type for me? Am I good for this or that? It's really and this is kind of one of those things. You can look at somebody's chart on paper and be like, "Oh yeah, he's perfect for you." But it's like how they're embodying their chart that really makes a difference. And it's really more about everybody, like if you know yourself and they know themselves, then you come together and you negotiate the differences, and so it creates like a more sacred understanding of relationship. It's not about like, oh well, this sign is better for me, that sign is better for me, because you don't know how they're embodying.
Mm,
And I have been I've definitely been fooled by the chart and be like, oh no, no, like, oh my God, they're great. And then like, yeah, no,
oh, they're living
not.
in their lower than their 3D self with their full shadows chart.
Yeah, yeah. But then I'm like, oh, the chart's amazing. It's like when I first started doing astrology, I was just like, oh man. So I had to learn a few lessons that way. It's like, oh no, it's not really about that. It's not about, I can never be with this sign or that sign. It's really, or I'm best with this sign or that sign. It's really about their energy and
Totally.
how they embody the charts, because it can look totally different. So
Yeah.
just know that.
Oh, that's a whole nother live relationships, and
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's, 'cause it's like, yeah, they're important. I think those are the best, our intimate relationships in partnership. Those are our biggest teacher reflections for that self, healing that we talked about earlier. Yeah.
Hmm.
So we can
Yeah. So this full moon, focus on your relationships, focus on how
mm,
you want to co-create, how you want to co-create with others. And it's all relationships. It's not just it's relationships to the land,
mhm.
and where you live, and energies and people and neighbors and, pets, all the things.
And that's what
So,
this full moon is this, yeah, like, yeah, it's full moon in Libra, which is that inner balance, which is reflective of what's, yeah, in your reality through each of these relationships that you just mentioned. Yeah. That's why I'm like, what? New moon in Libra. When is the new moon in
yeah,
Libra?
but we were just talking about the new moon.
I know. That's
We
why
were
that
just
was
talking about
wild. Yeah. And then in
that's the
Libra, a new
power.
romantic cycle begins. Yeah, that was power. That was so powerful. Amazing.
It's
Oh, well,
funny.
it's always so fun. Our hour is up. I mean, we could keep talking, but I think an hour is good and it feels complete unless you wanted do you have any last minute
No, I think that's it. That
advice
last one.
for people that will be watching
Be
this?
discerning. Be discerning with your astrology and what you're taking in, your information.
Yeah, I like that. And try to
Yeah.
find that 0 point, that calmness within, that neutral place, no matter what is coming at you in this reality.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
Center.
And I'm going to put everything in the link below. And usually, yeah. And if you have stayed till the end, please like our video if you resonated and subscribe if you haven't. And we appreciate you and sending you so much love and have fun with this full moon in Libra that will be tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gather
Right. Yeah, gal, that's what you're doing. Tomorrow you're having your moon ceremony
on Sunday.
on
Nope,
Sunday.
Sunday.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Oh, that'll be amazing. All right. Well, we will see you on the next live next Friday. We are live
It's Friday.
next Friday.
Mhm.
We're going to be live at noon every Friday, 12 p.m. High noon. High noon where the
High noon is not high noon anymore, unfortunately. It's high one.
high one. Hi ho, so that
Uh,
okay. Anyways, love you guys. We'll